I hear you whispering. Planning on stealing something?
No, ma'am, we're not.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No. Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
Hello and welcome to In Defense of a Movie Podcast. And Aaron, it's that time of year where we once again ask ourselves, is M. Night Shyamalan a good filmmaker or no, not at all?
Well, he's definitely a filmmaker.
Yeah. How you doing, Aaron? Are you staying safe over there?
I'm great. I'm trying not to give into the mass hysteria going around about the coronavirus. What about you?
Doing good, man. So far, so good. Looks like work is making everyone work from home. Things are shutting down left, right, and center, but trying to stay optimistic and positive and look forward to good stuff in life.
Yeah.
So today we are looking at 2008's The Happening. But before we do, Aaron, you want to say a few words?
Yeah. So definitely, we got to give a little bit of a disclaimer. Number one, if you are the type of person to kind of get a little paranoid, and then I definitely suggest that you turn this episode off, because given what's going around in the world right now with the coronavirus, and then we decided it would kind of be fun to do The Happening, because obviously they kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, I found myself being a little bit more paranoid after watching that movie.
Yeah, we're not trying to capitalize on fear here or anything. We want to say, like, if you or anyone you know is affected by the coronavirus, we just want to say, like, you're in our hearts. And we along, as well as everyone else, just want to see this thing behind us. So this isn't to make light of a serious situation or anything like that, but it's to make light of a seriously flawed movie.
Yeah. So don't be offended by our jokes here.
Yeah, we mean well. We think it's important when the world's losing its mind and binge buying toilet paper. It's good to look on the light side of life and focus on the good things. Focus on making positives out of bad situations.
Yes, I believe it was Mahatma Gandhi that once said that laughter can cure the world.
There's a lot of people right now, that are hunkered down in their houses and waiting this thing out. And what better way to wait out a tough situation but to add some levity with some terrible films and some podcasts and some books or anything that you've been procrastinating. So we are excited. Yeah. We're back, and we're kind of. Aaron, I guess we should kind of explain what we're doing here. I guess this is kind of just like a bonus episode before we jump into season 2.
Yeah, we've been on a bit of a hiatus here, and so we wanted to just give you guys some content. There was like a few people who asked where we are when some new stuff was coming out. And so, we've solved our indifferences, and we're ready to move. We're ready to move forward here and give you guys some content. So hopefully you are still subscribed. If you're not, subscribe. And we're excited.
So, from the writer of the screenplay of Stuart Little comes this sitting on Rotten Tomatoes at 18% critical rating, an audience score of 24%. This was distributed by 20th Century Fox. Had a budget of $48 million and made a cool $163.4 million at the box office. And of course, as we mentioned, this is an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Mm-hmm. And the second time he has been on our show.
Yeah. Aaron, I've given a lot of thought to these M. Night Shyamalan movies. And there's certain key ingredients to an M. Night Shyamalan movie that I've come to expect. The first is usually James Newton Howard is doing the music, and he's doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
The second is it usually takes place in and around Philadelphia, or is at least shot there, because that's M. Night Shyamalan's stomping grounds. The third is that there's usually some sort of twist.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth is that they're typically pretty polarizing, and you're not sure whether you liked it or hated it. So, I guess, Aaron, what are your first impressions of this film?
Okay, so I got to go back to when this movie first came out. I remember seeing it in the theaters, and So when I first saw it in the theater, like I absolutely hated this movie. Like I saw it once in the theater and in 2008, and I haven't seen the movie since until like watching it again for this episode. And like it's very rare for me to say that I hate a movie so much that I will go out of my way to avoid watching it. Like this many years later. And when we originally like decided like, oh yeah, like let's review this movie, I was like, just kind of begrudgingly like watched it. And and so I don't know. Like, but after watching it, my opinion has changed, and I think I just didn't understand it when I first watched it. And now I like it. I like it a lot more, and also kind of like it a lot more because of what's going on in the world today.
Yeah, the current climate definitely adds a bit to the experience. Now, M. Night Shyamalan films, at this point, with The Happening coming out in 2008, there was a fair bit riding on this film because Sixth Sense came out in 1999. That was extremely popular. Then Unbreakable, then Signs. It kind of seemed like he was doing a movie every 2 years, and he kind of made himself like a brand, you know?
Yeah.
I think by the time The Village came out, everyone kind of got what his thing was, and he was kind of being labeled as like the modern day Alfred Hitchcock, which is, depending on who you talk to, pretty high praise.
Yeah.
But then The Village came out and was very polarizing. It since has a bit of a cult following, but at the time was widely regarded as a terrible film.
I've never seen The Village.
Oh, that could probably end up on a future episode. Is what I'm trying to. And then Lady in the Water came out, which I've actually still to this day never seen. Have you seen that one?
I remember kind of like a friend was watching it, and I was kind of half watching it. Kind of found it a little bit on the dry side.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. My parents kept trying to make me watch it. They're like, "It's so good, you'll love it," and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So The Happening comes out. It comes out as a summer blockbuster, June 10th, middle of summer, and a lot of people went and saw it because the M. Night Shyamalan brand. Everyone was like, "Okay, let's see something twisty," And I think everyone was pretty surprised what they got. A couple interesting things about it right off the bat is that it was rated R, which is a first for M. Night Shyamalan. So it's definitely a little more edgy than his previous works. And he seemed a little bit reluctant even to make it that edgy from some of the interviews I saw.
Yeah.
Another thing is he shopped this script around for quite a while, but no one wanted to make it. And then apparently it went through a bunch of rewrites before finally being greenlit by 20th Century Fox. And I think it was co-financed by an Indian company called UTV Motion Pictures. It actually did quite well overseas, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
The backdrop of this film's a little bit weird because it's edgier, a little less accessible. Aaron, I remember seeing the trailers to this when it was first making the rounds, and the trailers were really tense. Like, it looked like it was going to be a really creepy and really mysterious film.
The same thing for me. I remember seeing that and like being excited to see this movie in the theaters because I thought it was going to be like very suspenseful and like kind of have me by the edge of my seat.
There appears to be an event happening. It's some kind of attack. The first stage is loss of speech.
Claire?
The second stage is physical disorientation. The third stage is fatal.
And another thing that's really interesting about this film, which makes sense like geographically in the way that it's shot, but this film was filmed entirely in sequence. So you're watching the scenes unfold as they were shot, which is pretty unique for a film these days.
Yeah.
So that being said, that's kind of the backdrop of this film. So Aaron, what on earth is The Happening about?
Oh, before we get into the plot, there's some like a few things that we need to just kind of go over.
Okay.
And So like my mind, I kind of sometimes like to go a little wild with the conspiracy theories, right? And so, given what's going on around the world right now with coronavirus or COVID-19, there was a psychic by the name of Sylvia Brown that predicted in her book called The End of Days, where she is a psychic that predicted a lot of things, and this is one of the predictions she made: is in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it has arrived and attack again in 10 years later, and then disappear completely. Now, you guys have that in your mind, right? And where did the coronavirus originate? It was in China. China is known for being one of the most polluted places on Earth, right? And so I'm just saying, coincidence? I don't know. But anyways, so to jump into the movie, now knowing
Now knowing that. Okay.
So the movie stars Mark Wahlberg as Elliot Moore, and he's like the science teacher and kind of the guy that is explaining what's going on. Mm-hmm. Then we got Zooey Deschanel as his wife, Alma Moore, and John Leguizamo as Julian, which is he's kind of like the best friend to Mark Wahlberg in there, like teacher buddies, and his daughter Jess. And I think those are the characters that you need to know. Everyone else is kind of like a side character. And so basically, what it starts out as everything is kind of normal. Then all of a sudden there's this crazy thing that happens that causes people to murder themselves. Mm-hmm. And it slowly starts spreading throughout like I don't know if it's the world. It is the world eventually towards the end of the movie, but right now it's kind of in like a dedicated zone.
Like the Northeast states,
Yeah, and so it's kind of spreading, and everyone's and the film is of these characters trying to escape from whatever's going on. Nobody knows in the beginning what is going on. They think it's a terrorist attack, then they think it's biological warfare, and eventually towards the end they put two on top of two, and they realize that it's the plants that are attacking. Also, some other key things that you need to know is in the beginning, there's like this, I don't know if it's like on TV or what it is, I kind of forget, but they're referencing how the population of the bees are dying. So this is another thing that you guys need to know. If the bees are to like, the honeybees specifically, are to die, it would like be catastrophic, I guess, to the world. Like there's no cross pollination, so certain plants wouldn't grow. And if certain plants are growing, it like all trickles down to like certain animals can't eat certain. And so I think they say that like a lot of the animals would die off, cows would die off. It would basically slip the world like upside down. Yeah, so like in the movie, I guess the honeybee population is kind of like dying down, and there is this like beginning quote in like the very first scene of the movie where they're in the classroom where Mark Wahlberg teaches, and it's this quote like that's like,
"Look, I don't know if you guys have heard about this article in the New York Times about honeybees vanishing. Well, apparently, honeybees are disappearing all over the country. Tens of millions of them just disappearing. There's no bodies, no sign of them. They're just mysteriously gone. It's scary, huh?" I don't know it's like word for word, but basically says like if the honeybee population dies, that the world will like be descended into chaos. So that's basically your first hint to like what's causing the problem that's going on the earth.
Members of the jury, look at what has happened to bees who have never been asked, smoking or none. Is this what nature intended for us? To be forcibly addicted to these smoke machines in man-made wooden slat work camps? Living out our lives as honey slaves to the white man?
Yeah, so it just kind of like follows them trying to navigate this this kind of like warfare that's going on, that's like created by the plants.
Yeah, and they're running from wind machines for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Until they end up at that creepy lady's house. And then it kind of becomes like this little mini movie while they deal with her.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah. That was actually one of my favorite parts is when they go to that old lady, because the old lady's just like, I don't want to know what's going on out there. And people are like dying. And like, there's someone out there right now that has no idea about this like coronavirus and is just like living
Right.
under a rock. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I saw this meme today. It showed a picture of like an Amish fellow with a beard, and it just the meme said, "Has anyone told the Amish yet what's happening?" I was like, "Oh no, oh no." Aaron, I gotta say right off the top, this in all the movies we've done so far in the first season, this is honestly probably the worst script I think that we have tackled to date.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has such an interesting premise to me, but descends so quickly in quality I can barely keep up. Growing up, my dad kind of developed this tongue-in-cheek rule that he used to tell me is that if a movie utters the title of the film in the first 10 minutes of the film, then it's probably going to be a bad film. And it's something I don't like. It's not a hard and fast rule, but I think you'll find that like 90% of the time it's pretty accurate. And sure enough,
All right, let's hear some theories about why this might be happening.
right out there. So there's strike one. We've already broken the cardinal rule is don't say the title of the film in the first 10 minutes unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Now, here's where the film lost me, Aaron. Like almost irrecoverably lost me. The very first shot of the scene or of the movie is in Central Park, right? And it says this is the kind of movie that they establish timestamps in the film. Like every new shot transition tends to have like a time attached to it to show how quickly this is happening. So we start our film at 8:33 a.m., right? That's when everyone in Central Park goes crazy, and then the construction workers go crazy and kill themselves. And then we transition to when Elliot comes home to talk with his wife Alma, right? And then they turn on the news, and rather conveniently, the news broadcast is just beginning coverage of the event. Now, in the corner of the news broadcast, it says that it's 10:43 a.m., right? So 2 hours later, after these people inexplicably kill themselves in Central Park, this news broadcaster says that they now know that this disease is some sort of neurotoxin that's blocking neurotransmitters. And she basically explains the entirety of the science behind what caused these people to kill themselves in 2 hours of it happening.
Yeah.
When you're in the middle of living through a pandemic in real life and you see how slowly it takes for information to parse out, this is insultingly poorly written. In 2 hours, Aaron, they go from, oh, it's a terrorist attack to, oh no, it's actually neurotoxins that are, like just like completely sciencey spells out the entire situation. And I was like, oh no, we are in for like a tough ride here.
But what if they had their top people working on it?
Honestly, if they were able to find that out that quickly, that is incredible. And then Alma says that they're evacuating New York City, right? She says that while they're watching that news broadcast. But then in the next scene, they're in like, what is it, like Grand Central Station? Or what's the big station in New York called? Is that what it's called?
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
And it is completely chill. They're having like a little domestic dispute in the middle of like a normal day at the train station while everyone's just trying to casually evacuate New York City.
Yeah.
Like you would not know anything is wrong.
Yeah, that's very true.
So, and this movie, it just charges forward with that kind of energy where like the stakes feel ultra low considering how insane the situation is. This Aaron, I think right out of the gate, the one thing I want to really defend about this movie is that I think the premise of it deserved a way better script.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there is an original version of this movie, like set in the 70s or the 60s or something like that. Have you seen that one?
No, I didn't know there was one.
I'm pretty sure there is.
I know there's like this Sandra Bullock remake where she's like blindfolded and has to find toilet paper for her kids and stuff, and they're like on a boat. I can't remember what it's called, but it's on Netflix. But same premise.
Toilet paper box.
Something they can't see is it causing people to go crazy and kill themselves, and it was very similar in tone.
1967, there was a Happening movie that came out.
Is it the same premise?
No, actually, it's a comedy movie. I just saw the name of it and I thought it was like an older one. But it says The Happening, 1967 comedy. A few bored friends use toy guns to scare the neighborhoods and kids and end up abducting a mafia kingpin for ransom.
What? We should be talking about that film.
Yeah, when his friends refuse to help him, he joins the teenagers to get back at them. What the heck is this? Don't listen to me.
What's interesting about this film is how M. Night Shyamalan's attitude and the way he talks about it has changed since it first came out.
Yeah.
Because when it first came out, he was like, oh, it's like a thriller. It's supposed to be like The Birds, like that Alfred Hitchcock style, like edge of your seat, intense. Mm-hmm. But because of the backlash to it, nowadays when he talks about it, like as recently as like 2019, when like he talks about it, he's like, oh yeah, it's like a B movie, you know? It's just meant to be like lighthearted, silly, some gory deaths. It's like a B movie, man. You get the sense that there's a bit of damage control happening. Mm-hmm. But it makes you wonder like how he would have talked about it today if it had actually worked out.
I think as a B movie that this movie is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But for what it was intended when it first came out, it definitely like did not live up to what he was trying to do, which is kind of sad. But I'm glad that he can like at least shift focus and kind of enjoy it in that sense. Part of me also is wondering because if you like watch like interviews with M. Night Shyamalan, like he is kind of one of those guys who likes those old school horror movies and stuff. Like he's very much brought up in that sense, and I feel like this movie kind of translates some of that like. You can tell his influences, right? Like with the death scenes and things that happen in this movie, they're very like horrific. Like I understand why there's a rated R rating in this movie because they're absolutely like nuts.
Yeah, the video of the zoo still to this day like makes me laugh out loud. It reminds me of like the gore in like RoboCop, like Paul Verhoeven movies, where you know I almost wanted it to be more over the top.
Yeah.
The scene where that guy starts up that like giant lawnmower, then lays down in front of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Aaron, that is to the like. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it's something that should be like terrifying and spooky. But just the way it's constructed and in the context of the film, it comes across as just hysterically funny to me.
I think it's Mark Wahlberg's kind of reaction to there because he's kind of like looking like, oh no, and he like looks away and then like looks back and he's like, oh no, and he kind of can't stop looking, but then eventually he dies and he's like, oh, and then like leaves and you're like, I don't know if I would stay and to like watch this guy murder himself and get ran over by a lawnmower,
right? Yeah, and this movie made me question, like, fundamentally, like, wait, is Mark Wahlberg a good actor? Or what's going on here? Like, the acting in this film is very, very bad. I swear, like, Zooey Deschanel is in a different film, man. Like, she is smiling through the entire film.
Yeah, she, like, in this movie, I was like, is she a bit autistic in this movie? Like, I don't understand.
Well, yeah,
and they kind of like give her like a little bit of mystery too, and so you're kind of like I don't understand her character, and you kind of see it develop as it goes on, but in the beginning you're like you have all these questions about her.
Yeah, and the thing that went right over my head the first time I saw this was this really, it's actually pretty subtle, the connection between their emotional responses to the situation and how bad the situation gets for them. Because both her and the little girl have problems showing their emotions, and Mark Wahlberg's wearing a mood ring, and you get the idea by the end of the film that it's like the fear and the panic, like when they lose their chill is when this thing decides to come and kill them.
Yeah.
But like the first time I watched that, for whatever reason, that just sailed right over my head. And I think that's kind of the most compelling part of this film, because when they walk out and join each other at the end there, it seems at the time kind of nonsensical, but you get the idea that like, oh, not to like oversimplify it, but it's basically like if you project good vibes, the plants won't kill you. is that kind of the like how to like encapsulate it?
You know what? Like I feel like that's a valid way to live your life.
My name is Elliot Moore. I'm just going to talk in a very positive manner, giving off good vibes. We're just here to use the bathroom. And then we're just going to leave. I hope that's okay.
No bad vibes, and the plants won't kill
just
you.
like project good vibes. Try to take care of like the earth. Try to take care of one another, and like you'll be all right.
What's funny to me is that, you know, he tries using what does he say when he tells himself, be scientific douchebag or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Like when he's trying to apply scientific method in real time to the situation, because that's the thing people do. I feel like there was a missed opportunity to kind of torment his character a little bit, that like all the scientific reasoning he can do can't actually explain what is quote unquote happening. It would have been, as a man of science, it would have been kind of a neat dynamic in the film, as if like he really truly couldn't explain what was happening, but ultimately they do just smack you over the head with what is going on. So I would have liked to have seen that a little bit, hey, like if his character was kind of broken down to the core, where he was like, all this reasoning and all this knowledge and all these articles I've read, and I can't even explain why everyone's dying, you know, like that would have been like, just deconstruct him a bit. That would have been rad.
Do you remember when you like what your initial reaction was, like when you first saw this movie, as you start to figure out it's the plants?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. Everyone went into this film expecting a twist, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like everyone on Earth that went and saw this was like, "Oh, what's the next M. Night Shyamalan twist going to be?" So I definitely like went into it preloaded with the expectation of a twist, which is, and then when it was, I seem to recall thinking it was super interesting, but also kind of lame because it wasn't like a monster that you could put your finger on and see, you know?
Yeah, I was.
What about you?
I was like in denial the whole entire time, where I'm like, is it the plants? I'm like, no, it can't be the plants. Is it the plants? No, he wouldn't do that. Oh my gosh, it's the plants. And then I'm like, I think that's the reason why I kind of hated it. But
by the way, I think I know what's causing this.
You do?
It's the plants. They can release chemicals. You like hot dogs, don't you?
yeah,
That's the thing, is he subverts his own genre by saying the twist is that there's actually not a twist.
yeah.
I don't know, man. Okay, here's a question for you, Aaron. Does this movie fall into so bad it's good territory for you?
No.
No, hey.
No. I like watching it again years later. Like I enjoyed the campiness of like all the murder scenes that kind of go on in this movie, but like those murder scenes are too far and too few in between to make it into it's so bad it's good.
Right.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, like overall, I like every time there was a murder scene, I was just like hooting and hollering and like cheering for people to die, which
so
is kind of
weird.
bad, but it's entertaining.
It's not. It's funny. Like it's definitely like not the desired reaction.
Yeah.
But it's where the film is its most entertaining. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It kind of like got lost in its own orbit, and then we're all like, no, we like it, but we don't like it for the reasons you made it. We like it for our own reasons.
Yeah, your reasons suck.
Yeah, it's like M. Night's like, no, guys, look at this stuff. Look at my environmentalist message. Look at the mood ring. Look at this stuff. And we're like, no, that lawnmower thing, that's awesome. Like,
do more of that.
Do more of that. Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, if M. Night Shyamalan actually did make like a comedy, could he do it on purpose? Do you?
Oh God, I wonder. He would just kind of have to like make a movie, and then like if he just made a movie where he was just put absolute mayhem in it, I think it would be like very successful.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see this premise go total Paul Verhoeven. Just like ultra violent, like there is an opportunity here for just absolute hilarity. Mm-hmm. If it had like, like in Hot Fuzz, like the kind of gore in that film, some of the deaths in that film. Yeah. Like if it went that tone, like Hot Fuzz tone with this premise of like wind and plants killing people.
Yeah.
Man, you could get right carried away. It could be so fun.
I just want to see like a tree branch reach out and strangle someone.
You know the scene at the end when the daughter's on the swing? Like, their whole thing right now is avoiding pissing off plants, and she's just like swinging from a maple tree.
Yeah, and I love that the scenes are like of just the branch creaking, and you're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? Like, is that tree gonna come alive, or like, is she gonna die right now? And you just like feel this tense energy coming from that tree that something is like it's not enjoying it.
Yeah. Okay, so I came across, Aaron, in my research for this film, I came across this YouTube video that I want to shine a spotlight on really quick, and I want to get your thoughts on this. So this YouTube video was by a YouTuber called What is Anti-Logic? And the video is called The Happening, Shyamalan's Greatest Twist. Now, the case he makes is that The Happening is a sequel to The Sixth Sense, and After Earth is a sequel to The Happening. Now, the logic he says is that the aliens that came down to Earth were only able to, at the time, spray the neurotoxin like from their wrist, which is why in The Sixth Sense they like spray that the kid that has asthma or whatever. But then they learn how to weaponize it in The Happening, and then in The Happening, what we find out at the end of The Happening is that the plants are essentially going to globalize and take out everybody. And then After Earth takes place way in the future when they're coming back to Earth, because I think it's Will Smith says the line that everything on Earth has evolved to kill humans. Now, M. Night Shyamalan's never come out and addressed this, whether it holds any weight or not. But when I put my headspace there, because like if you think about it, like no one expected Unbreakable and Glass and whatever the other one is to be in the same universe, right?
Yeah.
So it begs the question, man, do you think that these three films are in any way, shape, or form connected, or is it just like extrapolating or whatever?
Yeah, well, I'd say for argument's sake, like, why not? Like, I like when people come up with these theories and they say stuff like that. Like, it'd be really cool, and I hope that he does come out one day and says they are attached.
Don't you think it would help the overall perception of this film if he did do that? He's like, you know what? Yeah, why not? It is. Yeah, you're right. It is. Surprise.
At the same time, though, I feel like it'd be these all like apart from The Sixth Sense, but After Earth and The Happening were obviously terrible movies. And at this point, like if he came out and said that, no one would care. Like they'd be like, oh, whatever.
Oh wait, did I say the right film at the start there?
I wonder, because I was thinking. You said Sixth Sense, Happening, and
I meant
After.
The Signs. Oh, sorry.
The Signs. Okay. That makes more sense.
I messed up that whole thing. Yeah, sorry, The Signs.
Yeah. Well, see, I couldn't correct you because I've never actually seen The Sixth Sense. And I was like, there's aliens in it. I thought it was like dead people that he was seeing.
Oh, that would have been way more interesting. No, sorry. I meant The Signs. Yeah, The Signs.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I'm all this mass hysteria out there in the world has got me stumbling on my words here.
Well, like I said, in this movie, The Happening, towards the end, I think they kind of just describe that the worst of it is going to peak at this certain time, and then it's going to get better after that. And
like
so I kind of feel like that's what's going on in the world today. Like the coronavirus is ramping up, and it's going to get to a point. And then it's just gonna like kind of drop and subside from there. And if it does come back in 10 years, we're gonna do a part 2 of this podcast saying, and I'm gonna say, look at this. This is because Mother Earth is mad at us.
Oh man. Oh man. I'm so scared, Aaron.
Yeah, well, what's gonna happen? Who knows? I'm optimistic. I'm gonna believe this lady's prediction and say that by the end of March, the coronavirus will be subsiding.
Well, that is a very optimistic outlook, and I hope you're right. I definitely hope you're right.
Either that or I'll be dead, one or the other.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So, Aaron, I got a couple really interesting observations about this film.
Okay.
At the beginning of the film, in his classroom, Mark Wahlberg kind of busts the balls of that kid, Jake.
Yeah.
Trying to get him to chime in about the discussion. And he says that he has a perfect face, but he should be worried about science because one day his nose and ears will keep growing.
Yeah.
So I was really curious about this. I went on IMDb and looked up the actor. His name is Robert Lenzi.
Yeah.
And and Mark Wahlberg was right. His nose did keep growing.
Oh, God. Maybe Mark Wahlberg is a psychic and he can predict the future.
Anyway, if anyone's interested, I thought that was hilarious. He definitely looks different than he did in that picture, and his nose does look considerably bigger. No offense meant, but I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Also, Aaron, did you notice at the very end of the film, their daughter is wearing an Avatar backpack?
Oh, no, I didn't.
So, right, it's like, I think it's like the closing shot of the film. What's her name? What's the kid's name? Jess? Yeah, Jess.
Yeah, I believe so.
She shoulders her backpack and you see an Avatar logo on the back. And then she gets on a school bus, and on the front hood of the school bus is the numbers 2010, which is when Avatar, which we already talked about on this show, that's when it came out, Aaron.
That's very cool.
Also, this is the only, as far as I know, M. Night Shyamalan film that M. Night Shyamalan doesn't cameo in.
Yeah, he is the voice of Joey, though.
Oh, is he? Okay, because I have a question about this, Aaron. There seems to be some really weird tension between Julian, like John Leguizamo's character, and Alma.
Yeah.
So, I was watching this with my wife, and she said, wait, is Julian supposed to be that character that's calling her? Like,
no, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Because she was getting, phone calls from the guy while they were together.
Oh, were they? Because, there was some...
she got a phone call on the train, and they were all on the train together.
He says this really, suspicious story at the beginning about, randomly walking into the waiting room where she was there, accidentally. And I was like, is there... I don't know what's going on here, but, he doesn't seem to want to be around them. Like, when they leave that restaurant inexplicably and everyone scatters, I just had this weird thought of, does he not want to be around them because he, feels this guilt? Were they doing something, them two?
No. The way I understood it is he's, a good judge of character, and he is, obviously, the Mark Wahlberg's character is, his, kind of his good buddy, and he's worried about him because he says that this girl is just, isn't capable of facing anything, on her own. Mm-hmm. And kind of basically calling her spineless is what he's doing. And so he just seems like an overbearing friend, kind of protecting his other friend. I don't know. That's kind of how I say it, because then he gives her that line that's "Don't grab my daughter's hand unless you really mean it," which I actually really liked it, because it just kind of showed tried to get it got the Zoe's character to think and to realize that she can't be this mindless kind of float along person, and she actually has to put some thoughts into what she's doing because it could affect other people's lives. And so
it's a pretty bummer conversation to have with your best friend after the wedding, you know? On the front steps of the school there while there's some sort of quote unquote terrorist attack happening, and he's just hey man, let me just drop this truth bomb on your lap. I think your wife doesn't want to be with you. And he's why does everyone keep saying that? And it's well, I guess, we as the audience haven't seen this conversation happen more than once, but it must suck to be Mark Wahlberg's character, to have that hanging over you, where allegedly all of his friends are telling him that she's got cold feet, you know?
So I was reading that apparently there is a deleted scene that shows them fighting, like Elliot and Alma's characters, and it was scratched from the movie because instead of showing what was the dynamic between the two, they wanted you to figure it out like as they figure out their problems like going on throughout the movie.
It's okay. I don't think you meant it.
How can you be sure? I almost hurt you. My God, I almost hurt you. I'm turning into a monster. Soon you'll find severed body parts of strangers in the freezer, Elliot. This is how it starts.
You didn't mean it. You didn't. I mean, I saw videos of you playing softball in high school. If you wanted to hit me, you wouldn't have missed.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I was just trying to make a point before.
Okay. Tell me.
What was my point? Do you remember my point?
We're different.
Right. We see different things when we look at the same thing. Elliot, that's been our problem from the beginning. Look, I almost killed you. We're not the same where it counts. Don't you think that's true?
No.
Okay, give me an example.
We both love Rocky Road ice cream.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Everyone loves Rocky Road ice cream.
No, that's a particular flavor people don't like.
It's a flavor for a reason.
Well, then how do you explain walking into an ice cream parlor and every time the Rocky Road tub is always full? And you're always the first two scoops.
What are you talking about? You're an optimist. I'm a realist. Elliot, you don't protect yourself like an adult, and you don't protect me. Does this make any sense, what I'm saying?
Mood ring. Remember?
To be treated by a therapist that looks like this, I look like Frankenstein.
Hey, put it on.
I don't want to.
Let's see what you're really feeling.
They do have that one hysterically funny conversation where Mark Wahlberg's character kind of fires back at her and talks about buying a superfluous bottle of cough syrup from a cute girl working at the pharmacy. And it's kind of like this revenge thing because she said that she had, what did she have? Like she had tiramisu or she had a dessert or something?
Yeah, some sort of, I think it was tiramisu.
So, but what's funny is like that Mark Wahlberg saying that back to her somehow seemed to like even the scales and bring them closer together, not further apart. And it's like,
yeah,
these people are just weird, man. Everyone in this film's weird. Aaron, I screenshotted this one review of this movie that I saw on Rotten Tomatoes. That I thought really like I don't know who wrote this, so I can't give credit, but it's on Rotten Tomatoes if you want to see it. This is from a user. They wrote, 100% this was written by aliens trying to impersonate human behavior after only studying them for about a month. That would not only explain the wildly odd dialogue and cadence, but why a movie called The Happening has so little, happening in it.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, like that sums it up. Like this is, certainly this isn't how people behave during a crisis. We know that firsthand. And certainly this isn't how people fight in a marriage situation or interact. If you were trying to convince somebody to watch this film, like what would you specifically want to defend about it?
I would just, the thing that I would say is probably just trying to change your mindset of what type of movie this is and kind of come at it as expecting a B movie and and just kind of like expect to see a few sweet murder scenes.
Sweet murder scenes.
Yeah.
Sweet murder scenes.
Yeah. So apparently also there's more deleted scenes, and I guess there was a classroom with people murdering themselves. I assume it's with kids, and so it got cut from I got cut from the movie. And the scene where the lion, or is it tigers? I can't remember.
I think
attacks the guy. Yeah, apparently it's like even more gruesome than what we saw, and it's a deleted scene as well. So somewhere there's like somewhere out there, there's just these more amazing kill scenes that I'd like to see.
Man.
Maybe not the kids ones.
When
But
you just
the lion would for sure.
that lion one's an interesting one within like the scope of the universe of the film, because like it seems like the wind just like the plants or whatever like just randomly affected that one guy, but not everyone observing that one guy, which goes against what the film tells us, that it's larger groups and it's narrowing down to smaller groups. So as sweet as that kill is, I gotta say that one really breaks the universe a bit for me.
Yeah. And that lady, when they stumble into that old lady's house, like I just like, it was, I feel like that was the twist of the movie, because all of a sudden you get this like weird, creepy, hills have eyes, like old lady, that just wants to murder people.
Do you think she would have survived though if they didn't come and crash her place and make her all disgruntled and emotional? Like I feel like they're responsible for her death. Like obviously she's a nut, but like
not necessarily, because technically it started like singling out people, like single people, right? And so it would have came regardless, because now it's attacking people despite the group size.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so technically she probably would have died either way. But maybe she would have died like more the way that she wanted to die, rather than taking care of this random group of people, and like she could have died alone, where the way she preferred to live.
Yeah, I suppose so, hey.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, because she had like a garden. It seemed like she was growing stuff. She seemed pretty self-sufficient. She was really protective of her lemon drink.
Yeah, she had it like right. Like she was a what do they call it? You know, when the oh crap, what are they called? Yeah, she was a prepper.
Yeah.
She was ready for when shit hits the fan.
Yeah. It's so true. As weird and off-putting as her character was, it still feels weird. It still seems like maybe she didn't deserve to die like the way she did, with like these people rolling up on her house and disturbing her whole ecosystem for her.
Yeah. Dan, do you have a WTF moment of this movie?
Oh my goodness. So many. Yeah, I'm almost in that camp, Aaron, where it's like this whole movie's a WTF moment for me.
Yeah.
It's so hard to pick just one. I already kind of mentioned it, but I honestly think it's probably when that guy lays down in front of the lawnmower, just because of how much effort he had to put into making that suicide happen.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing that's so interesting. Like the thing I stumble on when I watch this film is the mechanics of it. Because there's a difference between like shutting off your self-preservation, but it's another thing entirely to make you want to kill yourself, right? Like when that military guy starts yelling in the field that his firearm is his friend, and he's almost trying to rationalize like not killing himself in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one thing to block neurotransmitters, like turning off the part of yourself that wants to self-preserve, but there's another ingredient that's not really talked about, which is okay, like, but what is the force that's like telling you to actually do these complicated things to kill yourself? Like there was people that climbed up ladders and hung themselves with hoses. And I was just like, what? I don't get it. Like why, how much trouble is too much trouble? Like, wouldn't you just stop and hold your breath till you passed out and died? Like why is this thing creative is what I'm asking, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it's the WTF moment for me, I think, is just the mechanics that I can't seem to wrap my head around.
Yeah, because like, you know, those people who had to go set their ladders up, climb up into a tree, like tie a noose around their necks and then tie it onto the tree and then jump down. Like, this seems like a lot of work opposed to just like, I don't know, kneeling on the road and smashing your head into it.
Yeah. Exactly. Like that's what they do in Bird Box. People just they just start smacking their heads against stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or the one that happens to John Leguizamo's character, where he survives this Jeep crash. For whatever reason, he survives the Jeep crash. Like he didn't have to, but they were like, "No, let's add a little spice on that meatball. Let's have him walk out, sit down, grab some glass, and kill himself independently." Like, I don't get it. It's like if first you don't succeed, try again, or like.
So the way that I kind of interpreted it was that people have these things that they're neurotransmitters that are being blocked or whatever it is, right? But they're still aware of what they're doing. And so like they have some thought of like how to go about killing themselves. And so the one thing that you kind of notice is that one person will kill themselves, and then it seems like everyone just looks at that and then like follows them in that way of like killing themselves. So I kind of interpret it as like, and you kind of see it when you see John Leguizamo, sorry, I can't say his name, his character get out, and it seems like he's kind of like aware of what he's doing, but he can't stop himself, and you kind of get that look that he's like, oh shit, and then just starts like cutting himself and dies. Like it almost looks like he takes a moment for himself before he kills himself.
Okay.
Because he can't stop it.
He can't stop it, but he's trying to maybe a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like it's a stretch, but that's the way that I interpret it, and that kind of point. It kind of makes more sense in my mind.
I'm into it. At the very beginning of the film, does that girl that when she's like, "Did you see that? There's so much blood or whatever." Like, is she hallucinating, or is there footage that was supposed to be cut in there that was never shot?
Which girl?
At the very, very start of the film, there's the girl that's reading, and then there's a girl next to her that starts to be like, "Did you hear that? Do you see that?" There's like, there's so much... Is she supposed to be hallucinating, or are we missing a shot or two?
No. So I think that the way that this like neurotoxin or whatever got into people, it didn't hit everyone at the exact same time. Like it was like everyone kind of got hit within like the span of a minute or something like that. So to me, it just seems, because the way that everyone got affected was through air currents and the plants like releasing something, right? So when you're getting infected by some sort of airwave or whatever, like you might not necessarily get it with the person sitting next to you because maybe the breeze didn't hit you, right? Or maybe someone has like some sort of natural tolerance to it, and so the way I interpreted it was that she's seen someone who was like further away who got hit by the breeze sooner, experiencing it, and that's where like they were murdering each other.
It almost reminds me of like Scarecrow fear toxin from like the Batman universe, where if like you're already panicked or something, like the girl, like what's interesting to me is like the first person we see kill themselves was like reading a murder mystery book. Like they were reading a really intense, I don't know what she says, something about how the killer, I don't know, I can't remember, but like it seems like almost you need to have a fear response in you at the time for like the toxin to like really make you go to town.
Yeah.
And then it just cascades as one person kills himself and the other person's like, whoa, that person just killed themself. Oh, now I'm killing myself. And it's like, it's like a house of cards or something. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Do you want to know what my WTF moment was?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We totally went on a rabbit trail there. Yes, absolutely.
So it's when they kind of like break off from the group, and it's like it's the three of them, and then they have those two boys with them, and they like go banging on some guy's house. And I just thought it was so funny because Mark Wahlberg is just like, Mississippi man, just starts like singing this random song, and he's like, see, come on man, I'm normal, see, Mississippi man. He's like, and then those two kids that are with him are like the least rough looking kids I've seen. Like they look like the nerdiest kids ever, and they're like, open up your house, like let us in, and they like all of a sudden get so like hard, and then they just get so wrecked by that guy because he like shoots one in the chest and then shoots one in the face, and you're like, oh shit.
And Elliot could have easily avoided this if he'd been just a little more proactive.
Yeah, and I don't know how he thought in his head that singing this random song would make him seem more normal, because if anything, I'd be like, who the hell is this guy singing this random song that I have no idea like what it is?
On Blackwater, keep on rolling, Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me? See? We're normal.
Elliot in his stupid dad shoes that he's wearing the whole film.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that scene there.
Mississippi man.
Yeah, it's so
See,
stupid.
we're normal. Yeah. If someone knocked on my door and started singing a song, I would not interpret that as normal at all.
Right? Oh God! Like I don't know. That would not be the thing that makes me think you are normal.
You know what, Aaron? Here's what I want to say about this film is this is probably the first movie I've ever seen that is both dumber than you think it is, but also smarter than you think it is. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah. And I feel like that's M. Night Shyamalan's brand, though.
Right? Yeah. It
unintentionally, though.
He's so hit and miss. It's unbelievable. Like, there are very few filmmakers that can make intense, thrilling, great films. Like, he's on opposite ends of the spectrum on almost a bi-yearly basis. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that this film was even a struggle to get greenlit should have been a big red flag that maybe this concept wasn't fully developed yet, you know? Maybe it needed a couple more years to really cook before it was ready.
I feel that people should go out and watch it now, though, considering what's going on.
This film is probably, conceptually speaking, more suited to, like, today's climate. But with, like, all this talk about climate change and this, that, and the other thing, it seems very on point now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I just felt like it was silly. It almost comes off as entirely silly at the time. But looking back on it now, it's actually a little bit intriguing in a way that I wasn't really expecting because, like once you get past the bad acting, bad dialogue, all the bad stuff, even the cinematography for some reason is just terrible in this film. Some of the way some of the shots are framed, the color grading, everything is really kind of gross looking, It's
got a very like monotone, like gray feeling to it.
Yeah, it just feels muted and awful.
Yeah.
And it's weird because all of his other films are very stylized and they each have like M. Night Shyamalan, his movies are big on color temperature. Like The Signs is very gold, very yellowy and warm. Lady in the Water, obviously very cold and blue, but this movie's just kind of ugly.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, this is an interesting question I have for you that occurred to me while watching this. It would have been cool if this movie talked about this. It didn't, but I want to know what you think of this, okay?
Okay.
Do you go to purgatory if a disease beyond your control makes you kill yourself?
Oh, that's like are we doing another podcast here or like another episode?
I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, how does that work? Like, I mean, strictly from like a theology standpoint, right? Like, what would that look like? Because I was thinking about this only because I rewatched Constantine a couple weeks ago, and of course, like the whole thing in that film is Constantine, like quote unquote killed himself and was dead for a certain amount of time, et cetera, whatever. So I was thinking this is fresh on my mind. Then I watched this and I was like, oh, wait a sec, are these people like? Is there some leniency here?
Oh, yeah, that's such a good question. I have no idea. That's assuming that, assuming people go to purgatory is assuming that there is a heaven or a hell.
Exactly, yeah. I'm basing on assumption here.
Yeah, you have no idea. I have no idea. My personal opinion is this: I hope there's nothing. So, I have no idea. I hope not. I hope that they're just dead.
It would have been another layer if part of that big group near the end there was a minister who was like a pastor or priest who was like losing his mind talking about that.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have raised the stakes if they said like, yeah, no, these people are killing themselves, therefore they're going straight to hell or something. That would have been like, oh, I feel like there's ways you could have punched up this script and this situation to actually make it scary and not so silly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like have like a, because there's no like real antagonist in this movie. Maybe you could call that lady, like when they go to her house and she kind of is just psycho. Like she's kind of like an antagonist, but she's such a small part of the movie that you couldn't really call her that. And I guess the antagonist in the movie was like Mother Nature itself. And so if they kind of gave like a preacher in there or something that was like, repent for your sins and like blah, 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 like then I could have, I definitely agree with you. It would have made like another dynamic to this movie.
Yeah, it would like he could have heightened the stakes a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
This movie kind of reminded me of 28 Days Later in terms of the structure. I've noticed this thing that happens in a lot of these style of movies where like the beginning of the film's like a big explosion of an event, but then the movie usually distills down to like a single location for the third act, whether it's like a compound or a house or
Yeah.
And frankly, I find it kind of cliche at this point. I'm kind of sick of it. Like it's almost like there's a mini movie at the end of all these movies where it's like 25 or 30 minute section where it's like all of a sudden we've gone from global down to like a house or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it. I feel like I could probably like I should have made a list of films, but I don't know, Aaron. I'm kind of getting sick of that cliche, man.
But think about it like with what's going on right now in the world. And everyone was out doing whatever, and then as the pandemic got worse, people are now quarantined to their house. So it's kind of got a little bit of truth to it.
That's a fair point. Yeah. No, that is a fair point. Because I guess as the group gets smaller and you become more isolated, it does make sense to like hunker down.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying, though. It's just because so many movies do that exact same thing. Like it always ends up a small group in like a house somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, structurally it starts to seem a little lazy to me.
Yeah.
There was this book I read not last year called End of the World Running Club, where it was set in the UK. There was like asteroid impacts, and it was the same exact structure where a big event happens, and then you get focused on one group, and then they sure enough end up in a house somewhere for a while, a long while, like overstay their welcome.
I feel it's like very isn't War of the Worlds kind of like that as well?
Yes, the exact same thing. Big event, and then like a third of the movie spent in that house with Tim Robbins' crazy character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I get the reasoning behind it, but it just takes the wind out of the sails for me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I guess the alternative though is like the Roland Emmerich approach though, where you just keep jumping around to like different groups of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe it is a better approach.
I mean, I guess that would be on the like the movie makers of Hollywood to try to search and explore new ways of doing that rather than sticking to the same old.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to keep the story and the tension moving forward without slowing your film down like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. I don't have the answer, obviously, but I feel like it's getting played out, and I feel like if we've noticed it, chances are everybody's noticed it. So
yeah, well, and that's where you see like this kind of natural disaster movies are becoming like less and less. Like, can you remember what the last one was? Was it 2012? No. Was Midway a disaster? No, that's like a more war movie, right?
Yeah, it's more of a quote unquote historical movie.
Yeah. Okay. So what I mean is like a kind of like a natural disaster type movie.
Right. Well, I haven't really watched it. San Andreas, that was a natural disaster movie.
Oh yeah. And again, like they all kind of follow that. But I think in natural disaster type movies, like that's all you can do is like you survive it and then you try to like hunker down in a place. Like it's the most human way of dealing with something.
Mm-hmm.
Change it up, humans, you suck.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know.
That is interesting. You definitely gave me something to think about because, yeah, it's true. I mean, as we speak, like lots of people are working from home. We're all hunkered down in our different places and kind of waiting this thing out. And yeah, it's true. It started as a big global thing, and now we're all in these little pods. So I guess there's some truth to it. Maybe I'm just, maybe I'm just not embracing that enough.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You gave me something to really chew on here.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
But no need to thank me, but thank Sylvia Brown for her words of encouragement to carry us through this trying time.
I will say this, it's not often that psychics bring good news. It seems to be that doom and gloom's most people's brand right now, so.
Yeah, well, doom and gloom is just the brand in general.
Mm-hmm. Well, Aaron, is there anything else? I guess at the core of it, what are we defending? The music for sure, because James Newton Howard always kills it with these movies. What else, Aaron?
I think that, just like I said, should be watched because of just what's going on in the world today.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the murder scenes and stuff are absolutely like a blast to watch. So if you're like us and get a kick out of watching people die in weird ways, then definitely this movie is for you.
It sounds morbid until you've seen it, and then you'll understand.
Yeah, I mean, if it was so bad, they wouldn't put it in a movie and we wouldn't be talking about it, right?
Yeah. I'm definitely in the camp of so bad it's entertaining, so bad it's good, for sure, with this one, Aaron. Yeah. Okay, so what would you say to convince someone to watch this if they were on the fence about it?
Oh, I would say, do you want to continue being an ignorant human being for the rest of your life until Mother Nature decides to act out and attack you? Because then don't watch this movie. But if you want to learn from the error of your ways and
go buy a mood ring.
And learn to treasure and take care of Mother Nature, then you should watch this movie. Because if you don't, we're headed to a terrible place. I don't know. Sorry.
Look, Aaron, that's not what the psychic said at all.
Yeah, but it's coming back in 10 years and you don't know what's going to happen.
That's true. Oh my goodness.
I would say, do you like M. Night Shyamalan's weird twists? If so, watch this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of takeaways. There's a lot of interesting stuff in this film. And I guess, as we pull it in, I just want to say, like, one other thing that another style of movie making that I really like is when you get, like, the introduction to an event, but not so much, like, the event itself. Case in point, the first Matrix movie, where it ends with Neo becoming the one, but we don't, at the time everyone watched it, we don't see like him becoming the one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In this movie, it's like showing the preemptive warning, like the preemptive strike, and then it ends with giving us the impression that it's going to be a global event. And I like that kind of stuff in my sci-fi, man. I like the prelude without overstaying your welcome. And this is a really quick film, right? Like it's really really doesn't waste any time. So I like that. I like when films don't overstay their welcome. They just get in, plant the seeds, make your imagination fill in the rest. And I like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Aaron, it's good to be back. We're, I guess we're going to be kicking off season 2. Do we want to talk a little bit about season 2?
Yeah, sure. We are going to be doing sequels. Woo!
Sequel season!
Yeah, but we're going to kind of throw in some not sequel movies because we understand it's a little bit of a commitment going into sequels because then obviously you got to watch the original one and then the sequel one. And so not everyone's got that kind of time. So for those of you of our diehard fans, like buckle up because you're in for a treat. And those of our like casual listeners, like we still got you covered.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for listening. We hope we were able to brighten your day a little bit. And as we learned in this movie, just stay calm. Nobody panic. We're going to get through this all together as one big global community. We got this.
Yes. We will become stronger.
We'll be sitting in the theater watching terrible films again before you know it.
Amen, brother.
Amen, brother. All right, guys, until next time, stay safe, keep fit, and have fun.
Bye.
Why would we be asking for food if the place is boarded up and nobody's lived here for a long time? What makes you think there's fresh groceries?
2 words. Canned goods.